Peace, this is KT the Arch Degree. I wanted to speak a little bit about mask. I'm not talking about Halloween. I ain't talking about them clay masks, you know, the bentonite clay and all that. No, I'm talking about, because that's what everybody sound like right now. I don't care where you go. It's so funny because they got you wearing a mask, right? But then when you go in a restaurant or you go anywhere to talk to somebody, they be like, yeah, because and then they put it back on. I'm telling you, so that all that breath, there ain't no droplets. Is that what y'all talk about, right? Droplets. But masks, you have to think about the size of a virus, and a virus is a nanometer sized particle. It is 1/1000th of a meter. It is extremely small. But the masks that everybody's using, I'm not even talking about the cloth mask yet, just the N95s and the disposables, those joints are Micron filters. It takes 1,000 nanometers to make 1 micron. So a micron is a lot bigger, you know, in terms of the space. So those little nano-sized viruses can easily pass through those holes. Just think about a chicken wire fence trying to keep out a bunch of mosquitoes. It ain't gonna happen. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're putting on a chicken fence mask and you're trying to protect yourself from mosquitoes getting past it, and it's not gonna work. Now, when we get into the cloth mask is fabric. Those holes is even bigger than the micron. So it's like, what's the point of wearing a mask if the mask is not stopping any of the droplets, the nano size? Those masks are made for bacteria. They're made for, because think about it this way. Whenever you see a pandemic movie, an outbreak movie, what is everybody wearing? They covered from head to toe in a hazmat suit. Then they got the depressurized room and everything. They have to step in the room, close, then they go through another room. So you telling me this pandemic is as big as it is, this COVID and Corona is as aggressive as it is, yet the only thing we gotta wear is a mask over our mouth or a little faceplate plastic? You go inside a spot, they got the rectangular plastic joint hanging from the ceiling or standing up, and you're supposed to pass your money under or around. So there's no way for the breath to go. I thought air was everywhere. So, you know, using common sense and critical thinking skills, looking at this situation, it looks like the truth is the only thing really wearing a mask. Because it ain't nothing but lies out here. You know what I'm saying? The masks, when you talk about N95 and you talk about the disposables, they actually deal with, they're like highways, where a highway has a northbound and a southbound, except it's the direction of filtration. So with surgical masks, you're dealing with the filtration moving in only one direction, as well as with the N95 mask. So with the surgical mask, think about it. You're over a patient and everything like that. You don't want to be breathing or drooling and dripping all over somebody. So they filter your exhale, but not on the inhale, because you're not going to be working on no infected patient, you know, all open and everything like that. So that's what it's for. The N95 is the other way around. It filters what's inhaled, you know, but it doesn't filter what's exhaled. So in both cases, it's only filtering one direction. So what's being really filtered? I tell you what's being filtered. Your fresh air. That's the only thing you filtering from, because you sucking on an exhaust pipe. You eating farts. You swallowing other people's burps. Like, this is what's going on, because you're designed to exhaust, to exhale, to release bacterial, dead bacteria, deactivated viruses, carbon dioxide, impurities, toxins, waste needs to escape. And you're supposed to inhale fresh air. But when you got this going on, all you're doing is recycling all of that stuff. And then you're creating humidity trapped here. So I don't know if y'all remember Crooklyn with us, the Spike Lee joint back in the day. He was on the stoop and them cats be sniffing glue. You knew cat sniffing glue because they had this ring around their mouth like this. It's all light and crazy. That's exactly what people gonna start looking. They're gonna look like Homer Simpson with the little joint right here, all messed up because you constantly hitting yourself with doo-doo. You hitting yourself with urine. You hitting yourself with waste, impurities that are supposed to escape into nature and get recycled into a more pure form. Because energy never gets destroyed, it's only transformed. You know, that's one of the laws of thermodynamics. So we have to make sure that it's not about the mass. It's about you breathing. It's about you being in nature, forest bathing, getting away from populations, because it's the epicenters where all of the problems take place, because that's the concentrated group of people and population that all have phones and all have devices, and they're all trapping that Wi-Fi energy in a tight space. And once you build all of those small little pieces of radioactive energy, and now you have all these people in an epicenter, now you have all this radiation and you dead in the middle of that. Okay, so the inverse square law of physics teaches us that the further we get away from radiation, the less the radiation affects us. So think of it like a shark. When you see that fin, are you gonna swim towards it? No, the further you get away from the shark, the less likely you're going to be harmed. And that's the same thing with radiation. So it's about getting back in nature. It's about drinking water. It's about eating more sea vegetables that act as chelators that are able to remove radiation out of the body. And then most importantly, of course, being out in the sun, because the main thing that will help against coronavirus and COVID is the sun's light, UVB, vitamin D, grounding. So these are the things that you need to do. Now, of course, there are different herbs that you can take that can assist, you know. One of the best ways you can go about it is through a humidifier and essential oils, so you can get all that vapor down into your respiratory system, because if you notice, it attacks the lungs, because the lungs is what's most expressed with the ACE2 receptors. And it gets inside of the mucus lining. So before it infects anybody, before anybody catches anything, it's going to be in that layer. So through doing humidifiers and the inhalation of those necessary volatile oils that are inside those plants, what that ends up doing is kind of catching it before it gets deep inside of you, because it's going to start here, it's going to go here, and then it's going to start shutting down all your organs, you know. So
I got a question. If the mask, well, obviously it don't work, but if it did work, why, if officer had his mask on already, why he worrying about me if it's gonna protect him?
Exactly, because you use an example of an officer. So an officer has to look out for everybody, technically. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the rest of these people might not be as blessed as me right now with my mask. So can you? But the honesty is, them police ain't wearing no mask. They the main ones. They the main ones with no mask talking about put your mask on. I thought fraud and all that was frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all actually want us to have a fake identity? Y'all want us all masked up? It's wild out here, you know? So make sure that you get in the sun, you drink your water, you get in nature, you breathe, you exhale, you know, inhale, breathing exercises, grounding, getting your rest, getting your sleep, and protecting yourself from the bombardment of all these frequencies around us. Those are the things that are going to help you.
What do grounding mean?
Grounding is where you take off your shoes and your socks and you place your bare feet in the soil or the grass, because the sun is a cathode ray and the earth is an anode. And what that means is a cathode ray has the ability of pretty much streaming or spraying a cascade of electrons in the direction where the anode is, and the anode receives such, and then it itself ends up releasing a bunch of electrons as a byproduct of that. So with your feet being on the earth is able to charge you back up. you complete a circuit between the sun atmosphere and the earth. So masks are at this point required. Why? I still don't know. But I could tell you the healthiest thing you could do is not have a mask on, because you can go years without eating and weeks without drinking, but you can't go but seconds without breathing. So anything that's inhibiting respiration is going to be a huge problem in the optimization of your wellness. When we look at disposable masks, it's almost like it's a huge genetic experiment, because they're disposable, which means with you constantly breathing in that mask, dumping a lot of your genetic material in it and throwing it away, anybody can start grabbing up masks and start isolating people's genetics. It's real interesting. Plus, the actual masks are made out of different plastics too, that are not beneficial to our biology and our metabolism. One particular chemical that exists in the plastics in those masks is known as phthalates. And phthalates do something that you're not going to really like. And it's almost going to be personal. You're going to feel like, man, they meant to do that. You know what I'm saying? So this is what phthalates do. Now, based on research and the studies and the numbers, they have come to the conclusion that phthalates have the ability to shrink the male's penis, testicles, and decrease overall sperm count. I'm going to say that again. Phthalates, a chemical found in the mask, the disposable ones particularly, affect the hormones in the males in such a way that it causes their penis to shrink, their testicles to shrink, their sperm count to drop, and the progeny and the children that are born that have been exposed to these phthalates by way of the parents are born with extremely small penises. So if you're required, if you're required to subject yourself to a worldwide experiment to shrink men's penises, I gotta say, I'm not part of that crew right there. I'm not part of that one right there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you're not going to see me. You're definitely not going to be seeing me wearing no plastic on my face then. So I guess, you know, the cloth is going to have to win right now. You know what I mean? Some cotton, some linen, you know, some natural fabric, some burlap. I don't know. But we ain't about to do none of them phthalates. So look that up. And when you look it up, you're going to make a mistake and put in TH. That's how they get you. Phthalates actually starts with a PH, which actually is what's missing. That's why you're so acidic. But you put pH and then you put THALATES, phthalates afterwards, and then you'll have the word you can look up. And you can find the studies, you can find the research on that, you know, but just do more research and express a little bit more critical thinking skills when it comes to these masks and what they're telling you to do, because you are your own individual. And if breathing with that mask is poisoning your system and causing you harm, then you have a case. You have a square to stand on to state that you're not required to do that, because in essence, you're killing yourself. Peace.